In the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill has an entire chapter on persistence, and he tells you to read it once a month. And there's some truth to that because it takes persistence to get through this, because you're going to encounter speed bumps. And if you stay till the very end of the video, you will hear about a speed bump that I hit for this very video. Hey, Kathie, Owen here, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about transforming your life in magic fashion. My name is Kathie Owen, certified fitness trainer and life coach since 2002, and a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse. And today I teach others how to transform their lives in what appears to be magic fashion. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a video with me. Today we're going to talk about getting in flow, getting in the zone, right in the zone. Have you ever been there before? That moment when you just feel like everything is working out the way it's supposed to. And it's just like everything is going exactly right. Yeah. It can happen, and if you train yourself the way that I teach, you will get into flow super easy. What happens when you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder is you mind screw yourself out of flow constantly, easily, and that's actually the normal way of life of somebody who has post-traumatic stress. And we all have post-traumatic stress in some form or fashion, because if you've been through any traumatic event, you will have triggers. Go watch my video on triggers, and it's only natural. But when you learn how to go through this process we call life, and you learn how to manage your triggers, manage your anxiety, you will transform your life in what appears to be magic fashion. Today, we're going to talk about pitfalls of not being in flow, and we're also going to come up with solutions. There are three main characteristics of somebody who is in flow. They have a high interest in life, they are persistent, and they have low self-centeredness. What do those three things mean to you? Ask yourself right now and think about that throughout the video. So they have a high interest in life. I like to think of this like in reality transurfing. We say, my world is always taking care of me. Always taking care of me. Actually, that is flow. That is flow. When you have a high interest for life, you don't think that everything is about you, which is the low self-centeredness. There's no self-centeredness. And I have a video on entitlement, and to me, that's the exact opposite of low self-centeredness. So we'll discuss that more as well. And also, you're persistent. In the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill has an entire chapter on persistence, and he tells you to read it once a month. And there's some truth to that because it takes persistence to get through this, because you're going to encounter speed bumps. And if you stay till the very end of the video, you will hear about a speed bump that I hit for this very video. There are 4 undesired outcomes when you do not live in flow. And so we're going to discuss those right now. You have distractions in this world, and now more so than ever. So distractions can be internal and they can be external. And external usually triggers the internal. External distractions are things like your phone, your notifications, the internet, all the overwhelm of information that you have. The news. Oh my gosh, this is a huge one. And social media. Last week my video was on a mental diet, and a mental diet is not the same thing as going on a social media diet. When you are on a mental diet, you can control those things that happen when you're looking at news or social media. You can control the reactivity. So we also have what's called internal distractions. And those distractions are usually, like I said, triggered by the external distractions. And they're feelings of anxiety, your heart racing, you feel overwhelmed, you're convoluted with information, you're confused, you lack direction. Those are all distractions that keep you out of flow. Remember, we're going to talk about solutions to these distractions in just a minute. Another huge pitfall to staying in flow is resistance. You ever hear the saying, what you resist persists? Well, I can tell you that is freaking true. And as a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I resisted so much. But when you're not in flow, you are not taking the path of least resistance. So you're resisting everything that comes into your world. Take my toxic positivity gal, for instance. She's constantly resisting what is. And when you resist what is, you're going to get more of it. Just know that. Another common pitfall I see not being in flow is that you lack delayed gratification. You want everything right this minute, right now, and because of the way we are overloaded with information and can easily get something right now, right quick. Amazon, 2 days. If it's longer than 2 days, people get impatient. But delayed gratification is something that you can control and you can build on, especially with a mental diet. Another pitfall is monkey mind. The mind just goes 90 to nothing and you cannot calm it down. You become overwhelmed with information. You become overwhelmed with what's going on in the world. So let's talk about solutions. Number 1, block those distractions. How do I do that, Kathie? Well, to turn off your notifications or put them on the low, but a mental diet will really help you block these distractions. You become more control of your mind. And actually, a mental diet will help you in all of these solutions. But let's talk about a distraction of social media. Have you ever gone on a social media diet? That's not the same thing as a mental diet. For a social media diet, there are good things to your social media and there are negative things with the social media. There are good distractions and bad distractions. Let's discuss this. When you take a diet from social media or you just take a break from it because you can't handle the overwhelm that you've had, or perhaps you're just doing it for Lent, or maybe you just have a reason you want to get off of there. Well, you're missing out on the good things of it, like your cousin having a baby or somebody got engaged, and you miss out on the fun things that go with it. But you don't miss out on the other part of it, which if you are on a mental diet, which is nothing like a social media diet, you're able to control that. Here's what I mean by that. So back during the Texas freeze, I have this friend of mine that is constantly putting conspiracy theories, anything negative, even though she proclaims to be positive, she's putting it out there to interfere with other people's chi. And I have learned a way through my mental diet, which is now a lifestyle, to control that and keep that from interfering. So during the Texas freeze, she put something up there about the turtles that were freezing in Galveston. First of all, what can I personally do about that? What can I do about that? Which most of her stuff, there's nothing I can personally control about that. I understand what I can control and what I can't control. I don't let that into my energy. Second of all, nature has a law, and that law is things go as they go. Those turtles were not out there going, oh my God, I'm freezing to death. I'm going to die. Or I'm going to miss my mom and da, 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 da. Only humans do that. They go with the flow. Look at our plants. They just all went into major shock and looked terrible, but they overcome because it's a law of nature. And if they go to death, they don't resist it. Remember, resistance. So there's resistance that enters in when you introduce a negative chi to somebody. And when you can either be proactive and realize what you can control, or you can be reactive and join her in that little awful go down that negative road pity party or whatever it happens to be. Number 2 solution is, of course, mental diet. You knew that was coming. And a mental diet, you want it to become a lifestyle. I just did a video on mental diets. Be sure to check that out because a mental diet is one of the most powerful things you can do. And all a mental diet is you realize, oh gosh, that was a negative thought. I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to either rewrite it with the pruning shears of revision like Neville Goddard teaches, or I'm going to accept it as it is. This will allow you to get back into flow. A mental diet will allow you to get into flow easier and more often. Number 3 solution, tame that monkey mind. That mind that goes 90 to nothing and never shuts up. You know, you have the power to tame that little guy. And I have found that. Here's an example. As a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I have triggers all the time, especially triggers that have to do with children, families, kids. I have a grandson through my boyfriend. Oh, I love the little guy. And we took care of him last weekend. And I was prepared for those triggers that were going to hit. And a trigger, for example, because he's 3 years old, I have triggers that I encounter with him, even though he has nothing to do with that. But my boys were that age when me and my ex divorced. And here's an example where I could go downward spiral or upward spiral. So he could trigger something in me like a time when I was with my son and he broke his leg at McDonald's, and I was hugely traumatized by this event. It was a complete accident, but my ex blamed me. We had to take him to the hospital. He was crying for his stepmom, and I was like in a whirlwind. There was so much narcissistic abuse that went on that incident. I could go down, 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 down. However, I catch that trigger before it goes off into that downward spiral, and I go, okay, he's such a beautiful child. I love his soul. He's so awesome. He brings back great memories when my boys were so much fun, and my boys are now grown men, handsome, and very successful at what they do, and I'm very proud of them. Do you notice the difference in that spiral? All you have to do is catch that thought, catch that trigger, and rewrite it and think of it in another fashion. Then you quickly get back into flow, because otherwise, if I went down, 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 I would end up depressed and not being happy and not being fun, and I would have missed out on so much. And believe me, I know, because I've been there, and I have missed out on a lot because I used to let those triggers take me down. So number 3 solution, how do we tame that crazy monkey mind? There are 2 ways I like to work with this. And number 1 is journaling and writing down those morning pages. Those morning pages, which I talk about often, are talked about in the book, The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. Links in the description below. And Julia teaches us to write down morning pages. So you write 3 full pages, just brain dump. Anything that comes to mind, just write it down, write it down. I can promise you, It'll help your creativity on steroids, because what you've done is you've dumped all that crap that's in your mind, and it tells your subconscious mind, hey, guess what, we got it in rotten now. We can go back to this and work on it if you want to, and you want to dwell on it, or we can tame it by journaling it and documenting it. Another way to tame the monkey mind is through meditation. I am not a huge sit down and meditate person, but I have gotten so good at getting into flow really easily that I can do a walking meditation like that, especially when I'm in flow, which is most of the time. The gym is one of the best places I do that. And I have my morning routine, which is set up, and I easily get into flow because I am already in a routine of doing it. And so when I encountered a situation like the Texas freeze, which I talked about in my video, I was in a survival type situation. Granted, it wasn't really survival, but there were people out there griping that they didn't have power and they didn't have water. Here's another mind. Their monkey mind's going out of control, and they don't come up with any other solution. And that's another thing that happens when you're not in flow. You cannot figure out another solution. You think there's only one way, but I have news for you. There are infinite solutions to every problem. So let's go back to the main takeaways. What are the 3 things that are involved for a person in flow? They have a high interest in life. When you have a high interest in life, you realize everything is taken care of you. It's all working out to your advantage. Or if you have a low interest in life, you're going to be over here going, who's going to take care of this? Who's going to fix that? I don't have any control over this. That's what you're telling your subconscious mind. Don't go there. Don't go there. You stay persistent when you're in flow, because persistence is key. You have to stay, you have to hang in there, and you have to go, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there, I'm going to trust the process. I say that all the time. Trust the process. You're going through this for a reason. The only time, let me throw this in here real quick. The only time you cannot tell somebody to easily get in flow is when they are going through the stages of grief. And those people that are going through the stages of grief, which I will list them right here, or I put them up on the screen, is they are not in acceptance. Only when they are acceptance will they be able to listen to this, because that's the toxic positivity people. And the toxic positivity people, anybody who calls positivity toxic, is in these levels of grief, and they are not in acceptance. That's the only way you're going to get in flow. And it's easy to find when you don't look at positivity as toxic. I absolutely refuse to look at it as toxic, because positivity saved my life. Literally. I'll be doing a video on toxic positivity very soon, and these stages of grief and how to encounter that as well. And last, but certainly not least, they have low self-centeredness. They don't go around, when you are in flow, you don't go around acting entitled. You don't go around acting entitled. Go watch my video on how I survived the Texas freeze, because I got right into flow myself. You realize you are just a guest on this planet, and you are not entitled to one single thing. Not one thing. And we have so many luxuries in this lifetime that, especially in this day and time we live in, that people want to fight for their limitations and go on and on and on and dwell on that, I guess, because it feels comfortable. I say this all the time because it does feel comfortable, and it's more common. It's just so commonplace for everybody to complain about what's going on in their world. I didn't have electricity. Oh my God, I couldn't call my dad. I couldn't do this. I couldn't go to that meeting. Whatever. Suck it up, buttercup. And it's just because they're not in acceptance. I hate to sound condescending, because that's definitely not where I'm coming from, but think about it. It's not all about you. You are a guest on this planet. And when you're a guest in somebody's house, do you go in and demand that they take care of your every little whim? No, you show gratitude. You appreciate it. Because guess what? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When you show gratitude, it expands to whatever you're going through. When you show gratitude to going through the freaking pandemic, instead of going, oh my God, I'm missing all my friends, I'm missing my family, I don't get this, I don't get that, it expands. What are you going to do? All right, that's my video for today. I hope you liked it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with somebody who could enjoy this as well. And stick around because I have a little surprise for you at the end. Until next time, I'll see you next time. Peace out and namaste. I'm recording this part at the beginning of my video, but it's going to go at the end, and here's why. I batch record my videos, and I was in the process of editing this video. I was almost done. I would say 3/4 of the way done, and I accidentally deleted it. And I couldn't restore it. Nothing would work. It was crazy. So I had to re-record this on a Saturday, not my favorite day to record it. And I had to get in flow because that's what this video is about. And you will see that. And I also established something. It happened for a reason. As frustrating as that was, and anything that you encounter in your life, remember, it happens for a reason. And, use it towards your main goal, which was my main goal, was to create an awesome video. And let me tell you, the other one was pretty darn good. And to know that it just happened for a reason. Here's what I mean. What happens when you have complex post